Hi everybody, Kat here. Thanks for joining me today. Today I went for a walk and I saw these two beautiful flowering crab trees. So I took a picture and decided to sketch it, and now I'm going to paint it. So here's the photo. It's only part of the park that I passed by, and I'll be referring to it in the corners of the video every so often so you can see where I'm at. So first I'm wetting my paper, and I've masked out a few tulips and the person who is walking their dog. I don't think they were actually walking their dog, but I think they were. So I'm wetting the back of the paper too so it doesn't buckle too much. And this is cotton paper I'm using. This is Antwerp blue with a touch of turquoise in it. Very, very, very light sky. And I'm just slightly removing some of that paint for where I'm going to put the pink trees. Now, this is my practice painting, and I do this on very inexpensive paper, but I had to refer to it. I decided to start filming them because I often turn my camera, I pause it, and then I forget to put it back on again. So this is just quick footage how I put in some of the bushes and the trees in the back, and it's just the initial layer. Of course I didn't like this one exactly, so that's why I did one on cotton paper. And I'm using different shades of green. So that is sap green that I'm using for the grass, and it's quite watery. And then around there I'm using some hooker's green. So that's a cooler green. Now I'm back to my painting on the cotton paper, and you can see the sidewalks and stuff are a little more gray. I used ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. And this is some saran wrap. Now this is interesting for if you don't have a natural sponge, you can use that to dab in some darker colors for leaves, or just kind of to make things have more texture. And of course, here and there I'm using my credit card. It's actually a cut up hospital card to scratch in some just branches and things like that. What the focal point it's going to be the two trees and the person walking their dog. So I don't want to put too much detail here. Now for this tree, I used indigo and burnt sienna, and the reason is, if you look at where I have my pavement, ultramarine blue is a granulating color, so it separates when your paper's quite wet. And so I didn't want that to happen when I was doing the trees. So I used indigo instead of the ultramarine blue, and you're still able to get a nice gray or various browns. It's quite it works just like ultramarine does. It's just that it doesn't granulate the same. So I'm just doing my trees, and I'm using my hospital card to etch in some of the bark. Now here are the two flowering crab trees, and for this whole painting I used pretty much the same brush. That's about a size 4, I think, 4 or 6, and I'm just making things look more park-like, less smooth. You know, this is kind of like a dirty path, and I'm going back and forth with the burnt sienna and indigo, and now I'm adding a bit of the green in because it's kind of mossy, because there's not a lot of sun that comes through this park. And now I'm trying the plastic wrap, but I'm not getting big enough results, so I do resort to using my paintbrush afterwards. I would like to find a better sponge but I've tried several and I don't like how it turns out. This brush here is, I don't know what you would call it, but it's not cut straight across, and it's great for fur and things like that. So I decided to use it for the tulip leaves and some grasses, but they are evenly spaced, so you have to really make an effort to move your hand around so that it doesn't look like 4 strokes at a time, 4 strokes at a time, because that can get a little bit tedious to look at. So I'm using different shades of green. Once again, I have sap green, I have sap green with yellow, and then I have my hooker's green and hooker's green with indigo, just to darken it. And now that the initial pink layer of the crab trees is dry, I'm adding in some branches, dark branches. So you'll be able to see some of them through the next layer of paint. So I'm just adding a few grasses with that fun brush, working with it on its side and then working with it straight. You just play around with it and have fun. If you have any brushes like that, this is a great painting to practice with. And now with this brush, it's a regular brush, I'm just kind of adding in more grasses to break up that uniformity I'm talking about between the blades of the tulip leaves. Now this is white mixed with the rose, and I'm still using the saran, and I'm alternating between the light and the darker pink. And I'm doing the same in the background, adding some greens. And now for the flowers, I like flowers, the tulips that have two different colors. So I put yellow and red, and on the other ones, I put some pink and purple. This is sped up by 3 times. So if you want to slow this down, you go to the cog wheel on your YouTube window and you can slow it right down. So just for your information, this is sped up by 3 times only. So I'm putting in the purple first here, and then I add the pink on the top. So you just don't cover the whole white that you masked out, and that should work fine for you. And here are some branches I'm adding throughout the background. I don't want the background to be very noticeable, so that's why I'm not doing much back there. The fun part is this little person. I put a hat on the head just because of the way the masking fluid kind of shaped it. So there are no details here. So whatever the skin color is you choose, have it just bleed into the darker hair. And I put a dab of that where the hand would be. And the rest I just kind of chose colors that I used in the painting. This is some indigo blue. And I'm just adding a bit of shadow underneath that arm and on the chest and in the front, so you can see that the light doesn't go there. It goes only in the front of the person. And then that's perfect. That's good enough. You don't need any more detail than that. And then I'm drawing out a dog. Now, the person I photographed walking in the park wasn't walking a dog, but you know, didn't look like this either. So it's your piece of work. You do what you like with it. But this is just a fun way to practice all your techniques that you've been practicing that you've been learning for the last few months or years, and just go to town with it. Don't worry about the outcome. Just have fun with it. So I want this dog to be barely visible behind all those grasses. And some more plastic wrap, dabbing that, and that's pretty much pure white. And now I'm adding some yellow to the sky, the colors in the leaves in the up in the sky. Just a bit of light up there. And I'm finessing here like I usually do. I'm fiddling around. I'm adding some darks so that the tree looks a little more like I found it looked like it was floating in midair. So it's getting there. I think I could use a bit of practice with this technique, but it is not something I do very often. I usually just use my paintbrush to do this kind of work, but this time I decided to try the saran. So this is how it turned out. I was quite pleased with it, and I hope you enjoy doing something similar. So if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'd really love to hear from you too. Take care. Happy watercoloring. Bye-bye.